Sometimes it feels like I'm standing at the edge of a cliff, staring into a vast ocean of confusion, not knowing whether to jump or wait for the storm to pass. I try to find clarity in the chaos, but it's as if the more I search for understanding, the more distant the answers seem to be. The more I try to make sense of things, the more it feels like I'm tangled in a web of my own thoughts, each thread leading me deeper into uncertainty. I look around and everything feels blurry, like I'm trying to read a book with the pages torn and the words fading away. It's as if I'm speaking a language no one else understands, and every word I say only adds to the growing confusion within me. The thoughts swirling in my mind are like a storm I can't escape, thunderous, overwhelming, and impossible to calm. I'm lost in a maze of emotions, each turn leading me to a place that feels even more unclear than the last. I try to find my footing, but it feels like the ground beneath me is constantly shifting, making it impossible to know which way is up. There are moments when I feel like I'm drowning in my own thoughts, struggling to breathe while the weight of confusion pulls me deeper. My mind is a battlefield, each thought fighting for dominance, leaving me with nothing but a sense of complete disarray. I'm stuck in a loop of overthinking where every question only leads to more questions, and I'm losing myself in the process. I want to understand, I want clarity, but every attempt seems to pull me further away from the answers I crave. It's like walking through a fog where the path ahead is uncertain, and every step I take leaves me more unsure of where I'm going. I'm standing still, trying to make sense of a world that keeps moving around me, pulling me in every direction without warning. The thoughts in my mind don't feel like my own anymore. They feel like echoes of confusion bouncing off the walls of my consciousness. Every time I think I have a grasp on things, the reality shifts again, and I'm left grasping for answers that never seem to come. There's a constant noise in my head, a hum of questions that I can't quiet, no matter how hard I try. I try to decipher my emotions, but they're like a puzzle with missing pieces, leaving me with a sense of frustration I can't shake. I'm constantly searching for meaning, but it feels like every answer I find only opens the door to even more questions. I want to find peace, but all I'm left with is a restless mind that can't seem to settle on any one thing for long enough to find it. The more I try to understand the chaos in my mind, the more it feels like I'm sinking into an abyss with no way out. It's like trying to read a book with the pages scattered around, and no matter how much I search, I can't seem to find the story. Every thought feels disconnected, like a puzzle with pieces that don't fit together no matter how hard I try. I wish I could silence the confusion, but it's like trying to shut out the sound of 1,000 voices in my head, each one shouting for attention. There's a heaviness in my chest, a weight of emotions I can't put into words, leaving me feeling more lost with every passing moment. I'm grasping at straws, trying to hold on to anything that makes sense, but each moment slips through my fingers like sand. My heart feels like it's been shattered into a thousand pieces, and I can't figure out how to put it back together again. I'm constantly waiting for clarity, but it feels like I'm stuck in a loop, chasing something that keeps slipping further out of reach. The thoughts I have aren't comforting, they're unsettling, swirling around me like a storm I can't escape. Every time I think I've figured things out, the truth slips away, leaving me grasping at the illusion of understanding. I'm so caught up in my own head, trying to make sense of my feelings, that I forget how to just feel without overanalyzing everything. The confusion is suffocating, and no matter how deep I breathe, I can't seem to find a moment of peace. It feels like I'm constantly running in circles, trying to escape the overwhelming tide of thoughts that never seem to stop coming. Every thought feels like a piece of a puzzle, but no matter how many pieces I try to fit together, the image still remains a blur. My mind is racing, but I'm not going anywhere. I'm just stuck in a never-ending loop of confusion and uncertainty. I can't make sense of the whirlwind inside me. It's like trying to calm a tornado with a gentle breath. My heart and mind are at odds, each pulling me in a different direction, leaving me feeling like I'm torn between two worlds. There's a storm brewing in my mind, and I can't seem to find the calm amidst the chaos. Every time I think I'm starting to understand my feelings, something changes, and I'm left feeling more lost than ever. I'm caught in a web of my own making, trying to untangle my thoughts, but every pull only makes things worse. The more I try to push the confusion away, the more it seems to wrap itself around me, tighter and tighter. I'm trying to make sense of the noise in my head, but every attempt leaves me more tangled in the mess of my thoughts. I keep searching for clarity, but all I find is more uncertainty, like chasing shadows that always fade before I can catch them. It's like I'm standing in the middle of a storm, and no matter which way I turn, the wind is always blowing in the opposite direction. I'm struggling to hold on to myself, but every time I think I've found something solid, it slips away, leaving me even more confused. The more I try to find the truth, the more I realize how elusive it really is, like trying to catch smoke with my bare hands. Every answer I find only leads to more questions, and it's starting to feel like I'll never have the clarity I'm searching for. My thoughts are like pieces of a broken mirror, each reflecting a different version of reality, and none of them fit together. I'm not sure where I'm going, and the more I try to find my way, the more I feel like I'm just wandering in the dark. My mind is filled with noise, and no matter how hard I try to quiet it, the thoughts keep racing, faster and faster. It feels like I'm trapped in a maze of my own making, each turn leading me further away from the answers I need. I try to hold on to the pieces of myself, but they keep slipping through my fingers, and I can't figure out how to put them back together. The confusion is overwhelming, and I feel like I'm standing on the edge of something big, but I can't see what's waiting for me on the other side. I want to find peace in my mind, but every time I think I'm close, it slips away like water through my fingers. The more I think about it, the less sense it makes, and I'm starting to wonder if I'll ever understand my own feelings. I'm caught in a whirlwind of emotions, each one pulling me in a different direction, and I don't know how to stop the chaos. It feels like I'm lost in a fog, trying to find my way out, but every step I take only leads to more uncertainty. I'm stuck in my own head, trying to make sense of everything, but the more I analyze, the more tangled the thoughts become. I feel like I'm standing still, waiting for something to change, but every moment that passes only deepens the confusion. The more I try to untangle my feelings, the more I realize that the more I understand, the less I know. It's as if I'm walking through a maze with no way out, each twist and turn leaving me feeling more and more lost and uncertain. The thoughts in my mind are like a storm, unpredictable and chaotic, and I can't seem to find the calm that I need to make sense of it all. I try to piece together the puzzle of my feelings, but each piece seems to belong to a different picture, and I'm left with no clear image of what I'm supposed to see. I can't seem to quiet the noise in my head, and every time I think I've found a moment of peace, another wave of confusion rushes in. There are days when I feel like I'm standing on the edge, unsure whether I should jump into the unknown or turn back to the safety of the familiar. Every decision feels like a shot in the dark, and the more I try to make sense of my choices, the more I realize that I'm only walking further into uncertainty. It's like I'm holding onto a thread of understanding, but every time I tug on it, the thread unravels, and I'm left with nothing but more confusion. I try to make sense of the whirlwind inside my head, but every attempt only leaves me feeling more disoriented and unsure of where I stand. The more I try to untangle my emotions, the more they knot together, forming a web of feelings that I can't escape from. I want to find clarity, but every time I feel close to an answer, it slips away, like trying to catch the wind in my hands. It's like I'm standing in the middle of a fog, and no matter how hard I try to see through it, everything around me remains just out of reach. My thoughts are a never-ending stream, and every time I try to quiet them, they only grow louder, drowning me in confusion. I feel like I'm stuck in a loop, chasing after something I can't even define. And the more I chase it, the more elusive it becomes. I try to listen to my heart, but the noise of my mind drowns it out, leaving me unsure of what I truly want or need. Each thought feels like a puzzle piece that doesn't fit, and the more I try to make it work, the more scattered my mind becomes. I'm standing at a crossroads, unsure of which path to take, and every direction I look feels like an even more confusing journey.